Timothy Elliot breathed in a chilly breath of salty air and closed his eyes. Water lapping against the tanker's hull washed away his worrisome thoughts. In this moment, he felt at peace. He'd forgotten what peace felt like in the 2 years since Germany had invaded Poland and the United Kingdom had declared war. Almost as quickly, the bombs rained down on London, turning the once beautiful city into a pile of rubble. War had come to their doorstep. Tim glanced at the lights twinkling along the outer banks of North Carolina. Did the Americans realize war knocked at their door right here, right now? It had been an uneventful voyage on the Alan Jackson thus far, and Tim hoped it remained that way. At least the captain had taken his advice and called for blackout conditions, his only exception being the ship's standard red and green lights that shone from the mast. Tim had tried to convince him that 72,000 barrels of crude oil were an attractive target to the Germans, but the man refused to listen. There had been no attacks off the eastern seaboard yet, and he saw no reason to believe his ship would be the first. Tim leaned against the railing. New York Harbor couldn't come soon enough. The metal hinges of a door squeaked behind him, followed by the slow, steady sound of footsteps. "I thought I would find you here." He shifted slightly as Rolf Schmidt joined him. An officer in the German Kriegsmarine, he'd escaped when he was ordered to fire on his own men rather than risk being captured. Tim stole a quick glance at the man. Not that he cared. One Nazi in the world was too many. The only thing that kept Schmidt alive was his claim to have the Navy's battle plans for the war in the Atlantic. Once they were secured, Rolf could rot in prison for all he cared. Rolf struck a match, then lifted it to his cigarette. "Choppy seas. Still, we're an easy target." Information Tim knew, and had informed the captain of. "You're rooting for the fatherland?" "I love my country, Elliot. I simply don't agree with the Führer's vision for it." The officer's jaw tightened. "Once this war is over, I intend to return. I wouldn't make any plans just yet." Tim pulled the edges of his coat tighter. He didn't trust the man. Schmidt had personally overseen attacks on British ships, killing hundreds of His Majesty's Navy, as well as destroying dozens of ships. Not once had he considered the lives of those lost defending their freedoms. He'd grown a conscience too late, in Tim's opinion. Not that it mattered what he thought. His job was to get Schmidt to New York. But with German submarines seated in the waters along the eastern seaboard already, an attack was imminent. Schmidt must have shared his thoughts. "If they catch me—" "They won't," Tim assured him. Assurances were flimsy when it came to war, but Tim would do whatever he could to see the captain delivered safely to his commanding officers. Then Tim would be off to his next assignment. There had been rumors of him being sent to infiltrate the German army in Paris, or maybe he would visit his underground sources in Stockholm. After almost a year of writing propaganda pieces to convince Americans to join in the war, he was ready to enter the fray. This was his first real assignment since being recruited, and he would not fail. Serving king and country was his calling, just as the sea had been his father's. A low hum, almost like a whistle, jerked Tim from his thoughts. His eyes trained on the horizon, he searched the choppy waters as the intimidating sound grew louder. "There!" Rolf pointed into the watery depths. Tim followed the line of his finger, then saw it, a torpedo cutting through the waves like a hot knife through butter. Without thinking, he grabbed Schmidt by the arm and pulled him down. "Stay close, and no funny business." The words were barely out when the world around them exploded, the dark sky replaced by bright light. The floor beneath them lifted, then bowed,